Welcome back to the podcast. I am Justin Stacy,
I'm Nate Thomas.
I'm Josh Matney.
and we made it all the way to the season finale. Give ourselves a hand. We've made it through 10 episodes.
And we don't even like each other.
No, we hate each other. This has been terrible. JK. But it's been a fun ride for this first season, I feel like. But yeah, Josh, you got the honors of choosing this week, and we are doing Child's Play 1 and 2. I know you're a horror nut, so this is right up your alley.
Love these films, with the exception of Seed. But like, I love this franchise.
I loved the franchise until really Bride. I don't know that I really loved Bride of Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we really started, when we getting more characters, more dolls. That's when I felt like it started going downhill. Like there's too many dolls in this franchise now.
Bride really kind of took it to the more comedy horror
route,
but it was still enough of a slasher to kind of, get by. But then like Seed just took it way farther with the comedy.
Right.
And I think that the thing about horror and comedy, you really got to try and find a good balance. Because if you go towards like the scary movie route, then you have to lean more towards the comedy. But where this has been a slasher from the get-go, you don't want to lean too far to the comedy side. You have to like still maintain that, slasher horror vibe.
Yeah, it is a hard balance because a lot of the later Freddy movies went the comedy route, and I don't necessarily like them either. So
yeah,
that's one of my points I was going to give. You just took it.
Yeah. Nate, you're going to have nothing to talk about now.
Oh, I
do.
do.
The one I could think of that they got away with, it was Friday the 13th. I think it was 6 Jason Lives. They added a little bit more humor to the characters, but it wasn't over the top. It was just like enough to kind of make it entertaining. But yeah, I love Bride of Chucky. It's probably my second favorite film of the Chucky series, besides Child's Play 2. But
now I do like the Tiffany character. I think it's a very strong character.
And honestly, Jennifer Tilly is a great actress, like opposite of Brad Dourif.
I think she is. She's a really good actress.
Yeah,
she's apparently a very good poker player too.
Yeah, she professional apparently.
Yeah,
but she, I love these films. Like everything. It was like the first horror film or horror series that I guess I saw when I was a kid. And it scared the living shit out of me for the longest time.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I really want to, watch it again. Then I just that was it. I just fell for it.
So one of my biggest fears, I think as a kid and really still now, is dolls. I am creeped out by haunted dolls, the idea of haunted dolls. So anything that's in that realm. Now, Chucky, I don't even consider in that realm anymore. It's just so not scary that but as a kid it would have been scary, and it was definitely the first doll movie that I would have seen as a kid, so it would have been scary then, but just dolls freak me out, so that's why I like these movies so much.
And really, for me, it wasn't as much it was a doll that scared me, it was Brad Dourif's voice,
the laugh.
He just freaked me out with that voice. And I can remember I'll be walking through the house when I was a little kid after and somebody will have the movie on, and then I'll just hear Brad Dourif. I'll be like, "Yep, other room, going to the other room."
His portrayal is the highlight of any of those movies for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Well, before we get any farther into this, sit back, relax, put your feet up as we open a bottle of pop culture.
Gonna talk about some really cool stuff with Josh, Nate, and I. We're gonna blow this thing up. We're gonna talk about the movies you love, and if you don't, well, that's just tough. But we're gonna talk about shows that are awesome. You'll say, whoa, when we talking about Blossom. This will be your one and only stop for everything nerdy in a bottle of pop culture.
All right.
Before we
Getting back
get
to
into,
his voice.
we got a friend. We got a guest.
Oh yes, we got a good guy.
Not
Yeah.
in
We
this
have
house.
a best friend.
So, all right.
So for context, I got that for you and Lisa. What was it, 2019?
Yeah, it was before the pandemic. Really,
It was before the pandemic, yeah.
And
And
I'm not gonna lie to you, I had a feeling that's what that was because I saw the size of the box. I'm like, what's the
Yeah.
chances that's a good guy doll? Oh my
Yeah.
god.
yeah, I seen that in Spencer's Gifts, and I really wanted it for myself, but I knew that Renee would just freak out if that thing was in our house. I wouldn't be able to look at it at all. I would have to hide it. So for that fact, I was like, who else would appreciate this as much as I would and would be able to keep it? And I was like, that's Josh. so I made sure.
Been a highlight of the man cave down here.
Absolutely.
Because I have like a bunch of the other horror figurines, so I just add it with it.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. All right, so Nate, you absolutely loved these movies from the first impression.
I watched the first one and rooted for the doll to kill the little kid the whole time.
Wow.
That kid was written terribly. I'm not saying that the child actor wasn't any good because he didn't have much to work with, but I rooted against Andy the entire 91 minutes. I rooted against him from the start. I was disappointed that the movie did not end in a child sacrifice.
Now, didn't you think that the acting of Andy in the second movie was better?
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
The second movie, it's like the first movie is like a fan film made by a bunch of teenagers. Production value, acting, whatever. I didn't. The first one wasn't doing it for me.
Well, MGM didn't realize what they had on their hands. Like they didn't plan on a franchise.
No, they didn't have any idea.
No.
The second one was it's hard to call a horror film a great movie, but it's a fun movie to watch. That's rewatchable. The first one, it would take a lot for me to sit through it again. I'll be honest with you.
The first one is, rough around the edges. Like some of the effects aren't as they haven't aged well because like you can tell when somebody's in a suit and they're running in the background. Like the part where he's burnt to charred and that's obviously somebody in a suit. And then like when Universal bought the rights for the other films or to make more films, they had a bigger budget, so they were able to like use more practical effects. But yeah, like first one was a little rough around the edges, but I mean, like I said, I can still rewatch it. I can
rewatch it too. I think the first one gives you that backstory of the doll that you need. I feel like you need it.
VooDoo elements.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things is the VooDoo.
I hate to say that.
You do not see a lot of movies, horror, supernatural, or whatever, dive into VooDoo.
No.
So the fact that this did, that's impressive. One thing I was looking for, quotes for our closing quote. And one of the things that I thought, that would be interesting is what if I was to do the quote of the VooDoo chant that Chucky does, and then do special effects to where, lightning's on the screen and stuff. That would be fun. But then I read that that's actually a VooDoo chant that actually come from like a book or whatever.
Yeah.
To what was the
it's a Haitian chant, but I can't remember exactly. Yeah.
Let's see.
Hey, the Lucky Charms theme song if that's what you want to do. It's all garbage.
The Dimbella, the Dimbella. So
Dimbella.
Yeah. So I respect that type of thing enough. It's the same with Ouija boards. I respect that thing enough to not dive into it, to where I don't know what I'm dealing with. Like you could be inviting anything demonic in. So I stay away from that type of thing. So I'm not going to be quoting that. Spoilers.
But yeah, I thought it was a made up language for the film.
Yeah, I did too.
No, it actually is.
It's legit.
Yeah. And something about the first film.
I was like, are you kidding?
The first film was actually originally offered for Toby Hooper to direct it. the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh,
Yeah.
Before it
okay.
got passed to Tom Holland,
Mm.
and Mancini still wrote the script for the first one, but he had to do a couple of changes to it because originally the idea was to not reveal Chucky was alive, but to give the audience like question, like what would he be really alive? Would it be Andy the entire time doing all the killings, and he's just trying to blame Chucky? And like then at the end, you realize Chucky is alive the entire time. So that was one of the original ideas.
Well,
That
if
would
you
be cool.
notice, that would have been cool, by the way.
Yeah.
But if you notice that it's about halfway through the movie before you actually see Chucky
Mhm.
alive.
Yeah.
You suspect it, obviously,
I
but
think it's over
you don't.
45 minutes in, maybe an hour.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it is. So it still kept that element of, is this actually a thing? Like,
Mhm.
so that would have been a cool movie.
To me,
it was
that
actually
would have
Andy.
been like a cool reimagining, like you know how they did the 2019. If they really wanted to go down that route, they
Mhm.
could have just stuck with that because MGM still had the rights to the original,
Yeah.
and they could do the remake without having to worry about Universal
I didn't
saying no
realize
to
that.
them. So
Now, one of the other original stories for this was that Chucky was, instead of possessing the boy Andy, he was instead going to become his best friend and train him to be a killer.
yeah,
And that's the storyline that they used for the Chucky show.
mhm.
That's basically
There was
what
a
the Chucky
Chucky
show. Yes,
Yeah.
there's a TV series that came out last year.
How did I miss that?
It's called Chucky, I think. It
Yeah.
was
I didn't
on
even know.
It was on
Sci-Fi one.
Sci-Fi and USA.
That's
Yeah.
how.
Yeah, and that is the story. Is he's training? But he basically finds a depressed, suicidal type kid, and he attempts to train him to be a killer.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story.
Mhm. The thing about the second film, I mean, like I said, the first film's a little bit rough around the edges, but like the second film, you don't have to worry about the mystery. Is Chucky real? You know he's real, and he's unhinged in this one. I think he's balls to the wall, like all out on this one. And not only that, like he have the one-liners,
Yeah.
and you actually have, aside from
including-
Andy, whose acting's a little better, you actually have the girl. I forget who plays it, Kyle.
In
Kyle,
Child's
but
Play 2.
yeah, she's
Christina
pretty
Elise.
good in this, and she makes like a really good like kind of friend toward with Andy. And to me, another thing with the second one, it has one of the greatest third acts ever in any horror film, like that toy factory
Yeah.
scene. I mean, that's one pissed off Cabbage Patch Kid that goes.
Yeah,
There's a tagline for you.
speaking of Cabbage Patch Kids, Mancini, that was his original inspiration
Mhm.
for Chucky, was Cabbage Patch Kids. So I thought that was pretty cool. I love the environments in
Yeah.
the second movie, like the factory, amazing visual shots, amazing.
Yeah.
And you notice, like you brought up visual shots, but you notice, like, especially in the house, like they always had like these angles where it made the house look bigger when Andy or Chucky is around, because like kind of give the kid perspective of what the world is, because everything seems bigger to him.
Mhm.
And that's what I liked about the second film so much. Like they were able to like make the environment seem so much more scarier than they really were.
Right.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, because if you look at the hallway scene, and it just seems like it goes on longer than what it really would be, and that was intentional, obviously, by the director. But yeah, like the directing was really good for this film.
Yeah, and honestly, the animatronics for the Chucky doll in the second film was really, really good.
I agree.
Like the movement of the mouth and stuff,
Mhm.
really, really good. I mean, there was I don't think there was any CGI done in these movies. It
No.
was animatronics.
Yeah,
Isn't it because Brad Dourif went in and recorded all his lines early so they
Yeah,
could
I
match
think
the
so.
doll to what he said in the second one? I think I read that.
I think you're right. Yeah, and that's a smart idea.
and I think they slowed the shots down for when they would record Chucky, like the animatronic, because I think I read like they slowed it down to 18 images per second or something like that, or whatever they call it. Because in the first film it was like 24, and because like they said some of the words like the letters that were hard to get were F and I think S or something like that. So they slowed it down to make it better for the mouth to match what Brad Dourif was doing. So
Man, I'm sorry to keep yawning. I'm not bored. I'm just tired.
No, I'm pretty sure you're bored.
I'm not. But I'm like, man, it's been a long day. I'm gonna go watch another scary movie. That's not gonna happen.
But I mean, this has probably one of my favorite, murder scenes in a horror film. I know it sounds bad, but like the school scene, the teacher.
Do you know who that teacher is?
I could not figure out her name, but
I don't know her name, but she played Dwight's girlfriend, the former nanny on The Office.
See, I was thinking something. I've seen her in something
she
else,
shows
but
up
like,
at dinner
yeah.
party with Dwight. She came in. It's all I could do not to start laughing. You know.
I remember that scene. That was the scene that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Like, just Chucky walking out of the closet with the ruler, and I'm just like, in that face, I'm like, holy crap, what is this?
But yeah, it was Stacy. Oh, he's back. Never mind.
The dog got a hold of something and chewing on it that it shouldn't have.
What's your t-shirt?
This is Darkwing Duck, but an actual duck in Darkwing Duck clothes. Yeah,
cool.
Another TeePublic special.
Yeah. Oh, I figured, but I couldn't tell what it was.
TeePublic should sponsor us because we mention them a lot.
I was going to say and I tend to bring Circle into the videos a lot, so
you do.
We're throwing them hints, but
we sure are sponsorship.
Yeah. What else about these?
So
movies?
So is it just a slasher film that you're not a fan of, Nate, or what was it? Just like the?
I generally I just don't like slasher films.
Right.
I'm not saying they're the worst things ever. I mean, I think Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, is a brilliant movie, but it's a slasher film and nothing more.
I completely understand.
They're just not my thing.
I feel the same way about found footage films. I can't get through them hardly.
I like found footage films.
They're hard to watch if they're not done the right way.
Now, I kind of agree with you, Nate, on slasher films. I'm not a big slasher fan, especially if there's a lot of gore. I'm just not a fan of that. A lot of gore. But as long as it has what I would consider a good story, then I'm fine with slasher. I think that overall, the Chucky story is at least spanning from 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Overall, is a good story. It's a good story. Halloween, that was a good story. Now they've mucked it up to where
I don't even know the continuity now.
It's no longer a good story. But the original, the first movie was a good, and I felt like once they got, and even when they started adding on the idea that Jamie Lee Curtis is his sister and all that, and he targets his family, that's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start diverging from that,
I agree.
I just didn't care for that.
I would say Child's Play might be the most consistent as far as like story wise when it came to the horror, like a lot of the horror franchises, because either some of them,
anything beyond
like
2.
Freddy's pretty consistent, but like I think they did kind of go a little off the rails on the last one, like Freddy's Dead or something. But yeah, aside from maybe Scream, it pretty much stays within like that story.
Oh yeah.
Like it doesn't really divert. It doesn't try to like retcon anything. It doesn't try to like have an alternative storyline. It stay like Mancini has found a way to sort of correct some of the other stuff from like the Seed and the Bride of Chucky films with the newer stuff, and probably even the series.
So here's something I thought of when I was watching the first one, and he goes to John. Chucky goes to John to reveal that he's still alive. And, that's when John calls him an abomination.
Oh, right.
And, right. And John tells him, whoever the first person is you revealed yourself to, that's who you have to transfer your soul to. Now, I felt like after 2, that it's either a plot hole or something else, because that kind of fell by the wayside. Once Andy started getting older, now he's targeting younger kids. In 3, he goes back to, other people. He's not targeting Andy anymore. Andy's too old. And I wonder if it was just legit that it's a horror franchise, and they really don't care about those type of continuity things, or maybe is it that John wasn't exactly right? That if he could have transferred his soul to Andy, it would have worked. But given the fact that now, fast forward, we've got a whole plethora of movies and shows that we know about Chucky. And we know that he was able to transfer his soul, but it just didn't work like he thought it would.
Yeah.
We know from the Curse of Chucky or the Cult of Chucky that basically his soul fragments. That when he transfers his soul to other people and or dolls, it fragments. So yeah, he can take over their body and the other dolls' bodies, but he never deattaches from the body he was in. He's always that. So
He's like
then,
a Horcrux.
So in the Cult of Chucky, you have all of these different Chuckies running around, and they're all different, but they're all the same soul. Right?
Oh.
So I'm wondering if that was if that was a plot hole, or if that actually is intentional. That if he could have got to Andy, it would have worked. But because he never got to Andy, that's the one person he never got to transfer his soul to. And Andy always bested him, So because of that, he ends up fragmenting his soul to where now he's partially everybody that he possesses. It's weird. Like that's when it gets.
No way a horror producer has ever put that much thought.
I know. I wish they did.
Where you're going with that,
right?
How many Child's Play? There's Child's Play 1 and 2. Isn't there Child's Play 3?
There's Child's Play 3. Then there's the Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky,
Curse of Chucky,
Cult of Chucky, and then Chucky. Then the reboot, which is, what was it called? Is it Child's Play?
It's called Child's Play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the reboot, and I didn't like it. Honestly, it changed so much. The VooDoo element's out. It's really just a technology hacker type thing where someone hacks a doll. Yeah, you might like it, Nate. But I didn't.
I'm just glad they did something different, because to me, like, if you're going to do like a remake or reimagining, like, I would prefer you kind of do something different than try to do a shot by shot.
Now, obviously,
the first one,
having Mark Hamill do the voice, I appreciated that. Mark Hamill can do anything he wants to do. I like him in everything.
The man is Luke Skywalker and the best Joker ever.
And the best Joker, period.
Yeah. Period. And that's my hill to die on.
I agree.
Like, all of my favorite Batman animated films involves him being the voice of the Joker.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah. Even the ones that kind of, like, what was it called, The Killing Joke, it wasn't a great one, but him and what's the Batman, Kevin Conroy.
Yeah. Great Batman.
Yeah,
great Batman.
But
I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole, but yes,
he is, as far as like just a voice actor, he's like a really good actor overall too, because he played in The Exorcist 3. He had a role in Lord of the Rings 2, and he also played one of his earlier roles was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
You're talking about Brad Dourif, not Mark Hamill now.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry.
Like, Mark Hamill wasn't in The Two Towers. What are you talking about? Yeah, Brad Dourif was excellent as Grima. Brad Dourif was excellent as Grima.
Yeah.
Make sure I said that right.
But back to your point of the voice is what makes Chucky.
Yeah.
That's what makes him creepy. That the laugh, the psychotic laugh, just everything about Chucky, it's the voice.
Yeah,
so when you replaced it, even with Mark Hamill, unfortunately, it's not Chucky anymore. You can't believe it.
I agree. I'm gonna have to watch it now to find out.
Yeah. I was watching something about, they actually were thinking about John Lithgow as the voice before they settled with Brad Dourif. Like, I forget who the list of people that was, they wanted to play the voice, but I'm so glad they went with Brad Dourif on this.
Yeah, agreed.
And
So-
you know this and did you notice like in the second film they had some references to Army of Darkness and the Evil
I
Dead
didn't.
series?
I did
You
not
know when he got
know.
his right hand cut off and he stuck a blade.
Oh, well, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
a little nice reference to the Evil Dead series.
Oh, yeah, because Ash gets the chainsaw.
Hmm.
So, in the second movie, the other Chucky doll that was in that house, his name's Tommy. Apparently, that was sort of a kudos or just a reference to Tom Holland.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
know
I thought
that.
that was kind of nice. So yeah. Also, let's see, what's her name? The one that played was it Christine
Elise.
Elise. She was actually 24 years old in this movie, much older than what she looked.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know
He
that.
always played young in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Very good actress.
The guy who played you know the what's his name, the guy who helped Dops Andy, like his death scene has probably one of the most iconic Chucky lines ever. The how's it hanging feel before he like like that just I mean yeah, that just is so hilarious. It's funny but it's not funny at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's such a classic iconic Chucky move.
Yeah.
So I like, in both movies actually, you kind of get to see the corporate greediness. You have Karen's manager. Love that her name's Karen, also, but Karen's manager is a complete greedy douche. Like he's the reason why her best friend's dead.
Yeah.
Right.
She had to work on his birthday. So
Right. Chucky is not a villain.
no,
Yeah,
it is
Chucky didn't do it.
it is corporate America. That's who's actually killing. They're the ones making Chucky. And in the second movie, why did they have to go and take that specific doll and rebuild it? I mean, just to get out of a lawsuit? That's basically what they were doing.
Have a good PR.
Right.
I mean, that was the whole point of it. And they
Yeah.
thought by having the original doll and to prove to people that it was indeed not possessed, that they could, get their money
Increase
back,
their
I guess.
profits. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Again, that's
then-
the moral of these two movies. Is
Right,
corporate
right.
America's killing us.
Right. Nothing to do with
Not
voodoo.
the voodoo
Nothing
stuff.
to
That's
do with
that's
not being a homicidal maniac.
Oh,
Nothing to believe in your kids. It's corporate America. Justin, you're not right. I don't even have words to describe.
So, what did you think of the like this? The final act of the second part where he realizes he's stuck in this body, and he is just like, you know what? F it, I'm just gonna murder everybody here now. Like he just goes.
He goes crazy.
Yeah. And they throw like all the melted plastic on him. They like send him through like the arm thing, and he's just like not giving up. Like I just think that is such a BA ending.
It is, and I think you get to see a lot of the Charles Lee Ray character through Chucky and what Charles. So the backstory, and I don't know if they touched on this in the first two movies, but he killed his mother. Like that's the first person he actually killed was his mother. Yeah, and in the show Chucky, they actually explore that. You see a young Charles Lee Ray as a kid, and you get to see him kill his mother. That's part of the show. So, but that was, I guess, in the lore back then too, that he killed his mother. So he's always really been just it's a serial killer.
Oh.
And you get to really see that through Chucky.
Yeah.
He is. I like his sarcasm though. That's the one thing I like about Chucky is he's very sarcastic.
And Brian and Chucky did have some, good banter back and forth with Tiffany and towards like the, how they're like fighting over a cooked meal. And so like, I thought that, that's why I think like, Jennifer Tilly is like a great, opposite of Chucky as far as like, throwing shade back at each other. And,
So,
that's that's the thing. Yeah, like the banter and the one-liners really makes Chucky's personality stand out.
I can tell you what really killed Chucky, and it really didn't have anything to do with the comedy. You can have the comedy. What killed Chucky is when they got away from the idea of him interacting with a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
When they got away from that story, it's done. Like
Yeah.
I think that is the bread and butter of these. Yeah, you need a young kid main character besides Chucky.
Okay.
And for them to be best friends. And that's why I liked the TV series, because it went back to that. They become best friends, legit best friends, And it was fresh. So,
Well, if you look back around that time when Bride of Chucky came out, you had all the horror films that came out seemed to mainly focus on like late high schoolers or early college students. Look at Freddy versus Jason, Scream, they all kind of focus on older, teens or young adults at some, that was kind of Dimension Films and Universal. That was, that was their formula for a little bit. And like even in the Halloween that was done by Dimension, it even though it still had some little kids in it, it's like the look of the film just matched what was going on during that time. Like they were all trying to like somehow make it look like Scream. So Wes Craven really kind of created a trend without intentionally doing it.
Well, I feel like in the 90s, well, I mean, Chucky started in the late 80s, but we had 2 and 3 in the 90s.
Mhm.
And I feel like there was just a craze of dolls coming to life in the 90s. Because
another one.
R.L. Stein did it in Goosebumps.
Yeah.
So it was just a thing. But
90s had a lot of, once something got popular and trendy, they really loved to capitalize on it. Dinosaurs,
they sure did.
Puppets.
Same way today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this franchise. Chucky is one of my favorite horror film. I wouldn't put horror as like a favorite genre for me.
Mhm.
It might be in my top. It would be in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
I'll probably choose a lot of other things besides horror, but Chucky's definitely up there. Like Halloween, I guess is probably my favorite in terms of horror movie, but then Chucky's right behind it. Has to be.
Yeah.
Now I will say that the original Pet Sematary might be my favorite. And I don't know that I don't know. That's not really horror, right? That's just more scary or
it's still
supernatural.
Horror.
Is it considered horror?
Yeah, it's still considered horror. I mean, it does because like horror is kind of like a blanket term. You got the supernatural, you got the creature feature, you got the horror comedy, slasher, paranoia, whatever, paranormal. Good lord. But yeah, it's still, and it's a lot better than the remake. The remake is terrible, but Pet Sematary, I even like the 90s version, not as much as the 2017, but I do think Tim Curry as Pennywise really was great.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like Pet Sematary, like I love horror. Like
I don't know that I have a favorite horror movie. I've never even given it a thought. I mean, like,
if I had to make a list, Child's Play 2 would be on that list for sure for me. Like along with of course Halloween, and I would even say probably Friday the 13th 4 and Freddy Freddy Krueger, one of the first one for me.
That first Nightmare is good. So like I love the character of Hannibal Lecter, but those are thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a total difference.
Yeah. It's heavy on like the crime.
Yeah, I like that kind of movie a lot.
Mm-hmm. Silence of the Lambs is. I didn't know this, but like there's actually 4 of them because Red Dragon came out, but then there's actually another Red Dragon movie that came out in the 80s. I don't know if I think it was called something else.
It's called Mindhunter.
Yeah, that's it.
And Brian Cox played Hannibal Lecter.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm that guy.
Oh, you're good. But yeah, all in all, like 1 and 2, and like I even like 3 as a to me like it's a good trilogy for like the strictly the slasher side of Chucky.
Is the third one the one in the boys' school? Am I thinking that right?
It's
He
military.
goes to military school.
Maybe I've
military
seen
school.
that at one point. Why would I remember
Yeah.
that otherwise?
Yeah, you have an older Andy. Now, from my understanding, 3 come out like a year or two after 2. So they basically had to recast Andy to be older. And then, he was in military school. And Chucky, of course, shows up. Now, I'm trying to remember, how did Chucky come back to life the third time? Did they reuse the wax or something?
I'm glad you brought that up because I can because I'm such a nerd for
I'm
this.
glad you mentioned that, sir.
Yeah.
So at the end of the second one, a part of his face, blood and everything got mixed in with the wax.
Yeah.
So when they remade dolls, he was one that he just came back through that. Like there was an alternative ending to part 2 where it kind of showed that, like the opening scene of like Chucky being rebuilt or something is kind of the alternative ending to the second film. And the only and there actually was a time where they showed the alternative ending on television. It was on Sci-Fi. But and what's so crazy is like I thought there was because when I went back and rewatched this, I'm like, I thought there was a different ending to this. Like there was like this weird situation where like the doll kind of winks at the camera. Because like I was like, I remember seeing that on television a long time ago, but that actually was just like an alternative ending, that they used. So they took it out and then they kind of reused it for the third film to kind of explain why he came back. So his blood was just mixed in with all that plastic goo and stuff.
Well, I mean, in the second movie, they brought him back from just the skull. So,
that's not so hard to believe.
Yeah.
Came back Frankenstein style.
That's right.
Bolts and everything.
Another, I guess, potential plot point with just the entire series as a whole is in the second movie, he's freaking out because he's trapped in this body. Well, he gets a new body every year, it seems like. So, like, is he and he's clearly not trapped in the later movies. He does transfer his soul and go to other bodies.
Yeah.
Now, well, I guess technically he is trapped because he never really leaves the body. He just transfers part of his soul to someone else. So I guess it's still the same thing. He's technically trapped, but he can move on to other things. So I don't know. It's weird. A lot of voodoo is what it is.
I can't remember, but like, was Tony Todd the guy who played the voodoo guy in the first film?
I think so. I believe that's who I read that was.
Because like I was like, that looks like Tony Todd from Candyman. Like, but
yeah,
I have to go back and make sure of that. But but I don't know. This is fun to watch again.
I agree.
Which I about watch them once a year anyway, so I don't have to. So it's like I don't really have to. It's kind of like
watch it once a year. There you go.
It's like
I watch it every day. So
it's my weekly film.
All right. So what else? Anything else about this movie?
Nah. I think both of them are very good and rewatchable, and I mean just enjoyable. And the second one's a horror masterpiece. I'm just okay. I have to say it.
Horror masterpiece.
I want to sit down and watch these movies with Josh. I think that would help me appreciate.
That would probably be fun. No, I want to watch these movies with my mom. That would be fun.
Oh my gosh.
Any horror film with my mom. Oh. She does not do well with scary films and stuff, and any jump scenes especially. She just goes crazy.
Don't you do that to that lady. I don't even know your mom.
Oh goodness. All right, good stuff.
Well, closing line with the Dembala thing, or
well, no, I'll pass on that. I don't want to be possessed myself, so I'm just gonna pass on that. But I think we should just maybe do a real quick recap of our season. how do y'all feel about this first season?
Well, the first and last things we watched were my least favorites.
South Park and
Oh my
Child's
gosh,
Play.
yeah, that's right.
While that is true, I still enjoyed everything we watched.
Yeah, same
Mhm.
here. Like, sorry I couldn't appreciate the Flintstones as much as
Oh, I so enjoyed the
and the
Flintstones.
Ninja Turtle rap. Still can't
I
can't
still
accept
wanted to
that.
do the rap. I'm upset.
It was a good first season. It did everything we wanted it to do. I think our audience got to know us and our tastes in pop culture by the movies we chose,
Mhm.
I
and
have
that
to
was the
tell
goal.
you guys, I was on the phone with the director I'm on a board of a local group here, and I was on the phone with the director today, and I was going to attend this meeting tonight, and I said, well, I need to be home by about 8:30. I have an appointment at 9:00. And she goes, Are you recording that podcast? And I said, yeah. How did you know? She goes, oh, I've been watching it.
Oh,
Oh,
There you go.
Thank you. So I make sure I don't say anything bad about that board I'm starting, which I wouldn't anyway. But
That's
I thought,
right.
well, people have, or they have watched it or whatever,
Good stuff. Yeah, I've enjoyed the life out of this first season. So I guess just as an update, we are taking some time off before we start the next season. We've tossed around. Well, I don't think we have an official date yet, but we have tossed around the idea that it would be in the fall when we sort of start up the next season. So I guess that's the general idea of when our second season will be. Now, I do think that we are going to try to plan some specials. So we're going to have maybe a 4th of July special.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we haven't discussed anything beyond that. So we will figure out how many specials we do between now and fall time.
26.
But
10
26
episodes.
specials.
They're all you, Stacey.
An entire
Josh and I are gonna
season
do
of
anything.
specials. I'm just going to talk to myself in it. but
I thought that's what you were doing now.
there are going to be specials, and we're going to, I guess, see what kind of maybe extra content we can come up with for the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to that. Not sure when those type of things will be released, or how often or anything like that yet. But hopefully we'll come up with something to release in the meantime. While you're chomping at the bit for the second season. I know everybody's going to be, when's that second season coming out? They're going to say that.
Already blowing up my Twitter feed.
That's right. That's right. But we
Second
definitely
season's theme is going to be Michael Bay. All Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. Exactly. Exactly.
I'll never let Nate live it down.
I quit.
He's quitting tonight on the podcast.
Michael Bay. Oh,
That could be a special. Michael Bay
they're
special.
sure fun movies to watch. but
They
there's
sure
not one
are.
of them that's ever been good.
They sure are.
Oh, this has been fun.
Yeah,
It
I've
has
enjoyed
been. It really has.
Is this where
All
you
right.
show the slideshow of our adventures together?
I could honestly. I may go ahead and share like every piece of every thumbnail that we've had. I may share that at the end, just scrolling through.
And
that would be nice.
Sad song.
Yeah, I'll slow down the theme song to be really sad, right? So that's what I'll do. That'll be fun.
Yes. Woo.
But yeah, so we've got that to look forward to later in the year.
Yes.
And leave us feedback on any of our social medias, on YouTube. Give us a comment. Subscribe to the channel for sure. That's the biggest way you could help us, is to subscribe. And if you're watching the YouTube video, give it a like. We need all the help we can get in terms of getting that algorithm to pick us up. So
Yeah.
give us a like, subscribe, and if you know of anyone that would like our content, just share it, and that would go a long ways. But we're going to close for the final time this season. And as always, closing quote this is from the first movie of Child's Play. And this is when Chucky is talking to John. Okay. You mean the first person I let in on the fact that I was really alive? I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. The first person that I let in on the fact that I was alive was a 6-year-old kid. I'm going to be 6 again. Well, John, it's been fun, but I gotta go. I have a date with a 6-year-old boy, and you have a date with death. So long, John. So long, everybody.
See y'all.
Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. We really hope that you got some enjoyment out of all of our craziness this past season. After a long season, we are now going on break, so please check back on our social media for any updates and extra content that we plan to post to our YouTube channel. In the meantime, though, please make sure you head over to YouTube and you give us a subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like our videos, give us a share. Thanks so much, and we hope you can sit back, relax, put your feet up, and open a bottle of pop culture.
Many of you probably heard of us talk about cryptocurrency and NFTs on our South Park episode, and many of you may be wondering what in the hell is cryptocurrency. Well, without the basic understanding of the blockchain, nothing else will make sense. So today, I am here to educate you on the blockchain. You see, the blockchain is a revolutionary concept that basically creates a linked network of chains and blocks. A team of developers using the latest advancement in technology creates this layer 2 solution for the blockchain network. You may be asking yourself, how does this relate to crypto and NFTs? Well, that, my friends, is a great question. Now that you understand the blockchain, now you can grasp how this correlates to those digital assets. Do you have a coin that has a dog etched into it, but you have no idea what to do with it? Well, all you need to do is put that coin on one of those blocks, and now it's a blockchain. What about a piece of art? What about a photo? What about a photo of you and your friends cosplaying as Chucky characters? Is there anything you can do with that? Of course there is. We can also put that on a blockchain. But Josh, what value does this give anyone? That's the amazing part. Putting things on the blockchain makes it instantly valuable. The possibilities are endless, and the window of opportunity is open to everyone who truly believes in their heart, their mind, and their soul in the blockchain. So, in conclusion, today's session will be minted in the blockchain and sold to the highest bidder. Minimum bid will be at $250,000. Thanks, and remember, we are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice.